पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृततुल्ये नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजना गान्धारनीलोत्कला शल्यग्रामवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तककेशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः वेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः सर्वैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Gone. It's come back, but the volume doesn't come back. Let's see.
start the camp, and then let's see if it comes back here. Are they able to hear? We'll have to put that on. Is that gone? It's not. See if they ask them if they're able to hear. Otherwise, you have to log on.
amānitvam adambhitvam ahiṃsā kṣhānti ārjavam ācāryopasanam śauචam स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तेरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतत् ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा amānitvam, adambhitvam, we have seen. Dambha, conceit. Adambha, lack of conceit. Adambhitvam, the situation of having lack of conceit and pretenses. Dambha, more pretenses. Mana or manitvam, conceit. So we discussed that. And how to get over it, we have to also see a little bit. The best way to overcome that, I told you the reason is because one feels so insecure deep down and one is unable to see anything good about oneself, and therefore one is very upset. And it becomes a front. What is the front? The front is that, I am very good, I am wonderful, and I don't need anything, I don't need anybody, I am best, east or west. This is the feeling. So the way to do this is to take some time to contemplate on one's own good things. Yeah. Some good things everybody will have. So contemplate on those good things and then see that you don't have to allow yourself the freedom to not have to always be good at everything. This is such a relief. If somebody else is good at it, let them, appreciate that also. This is what is called that sarvatma bhava comes through this kind of an appreciation. So you have to just allow that to be and see all the places in which you yourself excel. And there will be a lot of places. You have to sit and contemplate and watch those without judgment. Because otherwise, with the judgment, it becomes very difficult. That is already there. For both mana and dambha, the same antidote. Then we have a very important value in our culture, which is called, in the tradition itself, which is called ahiṃsā. Ahiṃsā paramo dharmaha. It is seen as the ultimate ahiṃsā. And what is this ahiṃsā? Not hurting is called ahiṃsā. Not hurting anything, starting with your own body, this we forget. We feel ahiṃsā means not hurting others, and then conveniently oneself is forgotten. So ahiṃsā means not hurting anything in this universe, starting with your own body. Because you did not make it, right? And you did not make anything else in the universe either. So you don't have the right to hurt anything that you did not make. So often translated as non-violence. And then, because of Gandhiji, it has gained a lot of, importance in other countries as well. It influenced Martin Luther King and all this. It has influenced not just the diet, but even the way of standing up for one's beliefs and one's rights. This is also ahiṃsā. And so here we have to see this, see this as a value, because it becomes a value only when you see that I don't want to be hurt. When you see that you don't want to be hurt, then you don't want to hurt anybody either, because that's the only way of enforcing this. Now, the beauty of this is that generally everyone has this capacity for ahiṃsā more or less built in, unless one is a sociopath. That is some kind of a mental illness. Barring that, psychopath, sociopath, barring that, everybody has ahiṃsā. And because this ahiṃsā is a value that naturally rides on what is called human empathy. There is empathy. You know how the other person is feeling. And this we see, even when we have some kind of a match, like a Wimbledon, you see this. We see this in the match. And what happens in the match? One person wins, another person loses, and the winner, throws everything in the air, including the t-shirt, right? And the loser is standing there feeling sorry for himself or herself, And the winner is very happy, but then there is a customary handshake across the net. And at that time his face becomes very serious, correct? We see this because even though he's happy he won, he's able to be in that person's shoes for that second when he's making that eye contact. There is ahiṃsā in that. We see that, it is very beautiful. So it has become a popular value also because of Buddhism. Buddhism which arose from the Hindu tradition, and where they have highlighted certain other, one more tradition we have, Jainism, where they have highlighted ahiṃsā to the completely. Then in our tradition, of course, it is highlighted to the nth degree, in the sense that everyone is supposed to grow into this value gradually and then completely. When someone grows into this value completely, they are qualified for sannyasa. Because really speaking, when you take the vow of sannyasa, you take only one vow. See, in Buddhism there is 17 and 24 and so many other things. We don't have anything. And in Christian tradition there is that, poverty, obedience, chastity, like this, three vows are there. For us, we are not, this is not for us. For us it is only one vow, which is ahiṃsā. Abhayadanam. One declares that nothing in this universe need to be scared of me, because I am giving you the gift of fearlessness. You can fearlessly be yourselves. You have nothing to fear from me. I'm dropping out of all competition. This is of course ahiṃsā to the complete ahiṃsā. I'm dropping out of all competition. And I'm dropping out of all anything, any activity that can impinge upon somebody else's chances. So here there is zero possibility of hurt. So this includes also the lifestyles. For the sannyasis in the rainy season, monsoon, right? In India, that is, 4 months. Yeah. But interestingly, 4 months is called Chaturmasya Vrata. Vrata means discipline. It's a discipline. And the sadhus don't move at that time. They go one place and it's kind of a customary thing for the sadhus to invite each other to each other's ashram. So they will go before the rains and then stay there and teach or meditate, whatever they are doing, until after the rains, because they don't want to step on anything, little worms and water snakes and all these things. They don't want to do that. So they used to stay for 4 months. Then perhaps they got bored staying somewhere for 4 months. Then there was a shortcut. And the shortcut is called kṣhānti. 1 month is equal to a fortnight. Somebody made the rule. And so now it is only for 4 fortnights, which is what? 2 months. So the Chaturmasya, interestingly, is for only 2 months now. So 2 months they go somewhere, have a little holiday and come back. So this is so much there that, kaya, vacha, manasa, you don't do that. And of course eating meat is out of the question if one is, has taken the vow of ahiṃsā. That is not, because the idea is everything has as much a right to live as you. Correct? Yeah, you have to share the space. Yeah, and these, the modern day meat eating, habits are very scary. Very scary. Because, we see there are so many abuses in the factory farms. All the animals are put in these small containers. And then what happens after they are put in the containers? They cannot move. They cannot do anything. And then they are taken, on a kind of a moving gurney where they are slaughtered. This is what the whole thing is. And occasionally it makes the news that the cow, please come forward, so that people in the back don't have to leave the room. So, we hear stories like this, One cow saw the other cows being taken for slaughter. They understand. This was in Kentucky somewhere, and it escaped. It escaped and went and stood in front of a church. You could think about it, Yeah. And so like this we hear all these things. We hear of horrible abuses in dairy farms, in these kinds of situations. And it's not fair. No, but then they make the what is that now? There is a new argument. Paleo diet. Yeah. Paleo means caveman. Polite way of saying caveman. So caveman diet, everybody is good. Raw meat and I don't know what else, And they argue, this is what your ancestors ate. Caveman also ate meat. So why shouldn't I eat meat? Caveman went with his bare hands. One day came with a squirrel, another day, he became the dinner for a big cat. This was 50-50. When you go out into the wild, either you become the animal's dinner or the animal becomes your dinner. At least that's fair. Now we are not doing that. Now we are cruelly slaughtering them. And then calling it paleo, Yeah, very pale argument. I don't buy it. And also with this, with the meat eating is not just himsa because it is killing the animals. Meat eating is himsa also because it is directly contributing to global warming. Global warming. And what we have is, evidence that in these large pastures where the cows, goats, sheep, whatever is eaten is there, their stress levels are so high that they increase the methane gas, which is contributing to global warming at a very alarming rate. So all these things we have to see because it's a kind of a dominoes cycle. It's a vicious cycle. One thing leads to another thing leads to another and yet another. And it all comes back to my personal habits, And people worry, what shall I eat if I can't eat meat, What shall I eat? There are plenty of things to eat. So many things. Look around you, No, but what about protein? This is one more thing. How will you get your protein? Ask the elephant. Where do you get your protein? Ask the rhinoceros. Protein kahan se liya? Where do you get the protein? Ask the horse, which is so strong and swift, where do you get your protein? This is what it is. We have all these, animals. An elephant can, just walk over. So, many of these things. It can flatten everything. It is a vegetarian. All the animals we respect are vegetarians. So, this is some food for thought, really. Because, at the level of our daily intake, there is a certain participation in the universal flow. And I'm not trying to make some kind of a, either a pejorative or a religious judgment. This is not about judgment. I'm just talking it purely from the standpoint of scientific facts. And also from the standpoint of what the Bhagavad Gita says about there being a cosmic harmonious cycle in progression. There is a certain exchange happening with the universe, a mutual reciprocity. And the 11th verse of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita declares, Devan bhavayatanena te devaha bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantah shreyah param avapsyat. So Deva, Devan bhavayata. Deva here means all the forces of nature, the 5 elements, the space, water, all these things. Space, sun, moon, etc. These are all the forces of nature. These are all God-given, Bhagavan-made forces of nature. And what is so important about these forces of nature is that they have entered into a cycle of giving and receiving. The sun shines, correct? And the moon also shines, and the water flows, and there is a certain cycle in that. The crops grow, the earth is there, everything is just, happening. There is a cosmic flow. And enter the human being. What happens? Immediate disruption in the cosmic flow. Why? Because the free will is there, it is untethered, and so it is abused. Part of it is also, the cause of this is partly from the Western, the theological assumption that all these things in the universe, nothing has soul. Solely the human being alone has a soul. S-O-U-L. Every other thing in the universe has only S-O-L-E perhaps, but not S-O-U-L. And the relationship between the human being and the environment is one of conspicuous consumption. I am the controller, I am the monarch of all I survey. Everything belongs to me. And then I am the one who is going to take everything. Everything that creeps and crawls and flies, I have dominion over it. And when I have dominion, it's already an unequal, it's not an exchange. It's an exploitation. And because of this, the force of this theology that has structured most of the Western habits of consumption, the whole world suffers as a result. Because when you say dominion, it's a certain control. And this control is very bad because it is actually impinging on my own lifestyle. I am cutting off the limb on which I am sitting. This is a problem. This is a very big problem. And so therefore, we have to go back to ahiṃsā. Because the more we take out of this earth, if we don't replenish what we are taking out, a day will come. It's in fact already come. In California, they are saying there's only 1 year of water. After that, what they are going to do, we don't know. And now, even in the other areas of the Northwest, they have declared certain emergencies in the counties because they are too dry and it's not raining. So like this, we have an ecological crisis which is of our own making, and it is all because of our ahiṃsā tendencies. This comes from a kind of a tendency of grab right now, because who cares about later? Yes, we are leaving this planet for the next generation, but children, who cares? We don't care. Right now we need instant gratification. So this whole philosophy of instant gratification is just going to make things difficult. So the Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter talks about being not just a citizen of a particular country, but a universal citizen. The citizen of the universe. And as a citizen of the universe, you have certain dharmas, duties. And what are those duties? Those duties are to take care of what is around you, to participate in a reciprocal connection, because for us, these are not things, inert things. Namaste Vayu. Vayu is not something inert. It is a form of Bhagavan. Tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi. You are Bhagavan incarnate. We say this to the air. Prano vai Ishvaraha. We breathe in that air, and then that becomes now prana. Exhaled it is air, inhaled it is prana. And that prana again is a form of Bhagavan. So for us, whatever that is here, yatya kinchit jagat sarvam, all the things in this jagat, whatever is there, is alive, has the presence of Bhagavan, and is to be respected, because it too has the right to be there. You can't just, take it out of the equation. This is your moral responsibility. This is one's moral responsibility as a, universal, global, universal citizen, really. So, ahiṃsā paramo dharmaha. And what does ahiṃsā have to do with, discovering myself as a kshetrajña? That connection should be there, see? So what does ahiṃsā have to do with discovering myself as a kshetrajña? Well, if you are trying to assimilate the knowledge or prepare the mind for the knowledge, what is the knowledge here? That one is everything. We say Bhagavan is everything. If you are Bhagavan, you are everything. If you are everything, then you don't have the right to hurt anything. Just because something is mithya, you can't just go and, try to hurt it. So this is basically the main way in which we look at the connection. And ahiṃsā is very, very key here to one's own self-growth. The more one grows, the more one is able to let go. Otherwise, there are all these tendencies. I want to grab, I want to have things, I want to really immediately do something. All that is not there. So, that is ahiṃsā. Amānitvam, adambhitvam, ahiṃsā, and kṣhānti. Not Shanti. Shanti with a K in front of it. Kṣhānti. Yeah. Kṣhānti means accommodation. Yeah. Not accommodation as in a hotel room. That's not what we're talking about. Accommodation within one's heart. Kṣhānti. Adi Shankara has a very interesting definition of kṣhānti. You know what he says? He says kṣhānti is a condition or a value whereby when somebody acts towards you in an adharmic way, you don't give back. In fact, not only do you not retaliate, there is no change in you. How to do this? Not retaliate, I can understand, I can leave the room. But there is no change in me, this is not fair. But Adi Shankara is like that, because he gives the definition that is always ultimate. He does not bother giving small definitions of growing into it and step by step. He has no step by step. Yeah. He is always straight, final. That's why he just says, and later on he will say this. He says, anybody who is always worried about the home and the people in the home, better to leave the home. Yeah. Go sit in the forest. For him, it is just so simple. Everything is very simple. So here the same thing is there. The same exact situation is being talked about. That kṣhānti, he has a very extreme definition, which is actually the correct definition. And what is the correct definition? The correct definition is an attitude whereby there is no change that occurs in you when confronted by, any kind of anyaya. What is anyaya? Injustice, real or perceived. Real or perceived injustice creates no change in me from the standpoint of needing to retaliate, or from the standpoint of internalizing it and fuming and fretting, and how in the comics they show what is that coming? Smoke is coming out of the ears. That is also not happening. I don't externalize, I don't internalize. If I'm like this, I'll just expire, because I'm neither externalizing nor internalizing. Means what? That is kṣhānti. And how is this? How does this come about? This is a good question. It comes about by everyone taking a small crash course in human psychology. Really, that's what it boils down to. And if you've been studying, if you've been attending a few classes of Vedanta, you've already had that already. Because this is something we do emphasize a lot. So what does this crash course in human psychology look like? Very easy, not at all difficult. First and our psychology is always not complete without the presence of Bhagavan. So it is Bhagavan who made this mad mind, correct? And all the other mad minds also. So then, just like, in Hamlet, in the play, this man was keeping on repeating himself. Something was wrong, which was very clear. And so a minister called Polonius, this is in the Shakespeare's play, was sent to him to find out, to check up if he was mentally all right. So Polonius went to Hamlet. Hamlet was sitting there reading a book. So Polonius said, "What is it that you read?" And Hamlet said, "Words, words, words," he said, So Polonius made some notes and went to the king and told him, he is mad, all right, but there is a method to his madness. I love this, because this shows that Shakespeare had an appreciation for the psychological order. There is a method. Even the maddest person on the planet, there is a method. You just have to find the right psychiatrist, and then the psychiatrist will tell you what the method is, because they've studied this human psychology. And here we are not even looking at it as psychology, we are looking at it as a vast order of the mind, from the standpoint of Bhagavan. The psychological order. And what does this yield? From the standpoint of this kind of an upbringing, this will be the result. If one is neglected, everybody feels neglected. That's garden variety neglect, But if there is non-garden variety neglect, if one is neglected, this is what the picture of the person will be later on. Correct? Yeah. If one is this is, you can keep talking about this. The eldest child in every family has certain traits, psychological traits. Overly responsible, becomes a parent to the parents, becomes a parent to the other children, also. So this is the eldest child psychology. The youngest child also has a psychological, other certain traits. What are they? Irresponsible, generally. Because somebody else will take care of it. Why should I? I don't have to take care of it. Other people are there. And little angry also. I always have to wear the hand-me-downs. I never get anything first and new. And also the youngest child is convinced that the parents don't really care. Because with the first child, they treated the first child like a, bone china doll. Oh, what is happening? Oh, it coughed. Oh, it laughed. We should call 911. What is happening? They're all so scared. Because the first one, the child doesn't come with instructions. Yeah, it doesn't come with a brochure or a booklet. So they're very frightened. And by the time the second or the third one comes along, you can drop it from the stairs also, nothing will happen, no problem. The parents have great vairagya, when it comes to, and great objectivity. Because they say, oh, we've been there and done that. And the youngest child usually interprets it as, the parents always love the elder ones more, not me. And of course, now there is the quintessential middle child. And the middle child always feels, I'm in the middle. And I'm neither here nor there, Yeah. And they grow up to be attorneys and mediators, generally speaking. This they have studied. Somehow they're very good at this. They may not become, but they are good at, because they've always had to, make everybody get along. They're very responsible. So like this, you can already see a pattern. And then if you start talking of, gender, then women, what are the patterns? And then men, what are the patterns? And then certain psychological issues like trauma, abuse, and how the trauma and the abuse leads to dissociation in adulthood. Because that dissociation was a coping mechanism as a young child, and that continues. So even when there is the slightest trigger of the trauma, the person just leaves mentally. See, this is all, when we look at it from the standpoint of Bhagavan, it's a wonderful, picturesque view of not just the human mind, but the psychological law, the law, in which even things like mental illness is part of the order. Even the disorder is part of the order of the Lord. It is so beautiful. It's just fantastic. So first I have to see that I myself have a background, correct? Yeah. I have to be careful to see. Because the first answer, if you ask yourself, do I have a background? The first answer that will come is absolutely not. It's the neighbor that has the background. It's these other people in the Jagat that have a background. Me, I'm fine. What's wrong with me? I had a wonderful childhood. And the person who says that more than once, again and again, then there is really the need to introspect. Because what is being suppressed, what is being excused, what is being denied here? And so, in a way, it is nice to study ourselves first before trying to put the flashlight on the other person. Spotlight, flashlight, whatever it is. It's important for kṣhānti, it is important to get used to one's own issues. Be able to look at those issues from the standpoint of how a parent might look at, from a functional parent might look at, from the standpoint of an objective, loving presence. You are that objective, loving presence. You are that as an adult that is uninhibited by childhood pain and sorrow. So the first point in developing kṣhānti is to separate that pain body from the adult. And it's doesn't require surgery. It's an internal mechanism through witnessing. And to understand what at least a few famous triggers are. Every trigger you cannot understand. That's why it's called trigger. Because you didn't know it would trigger. So to just have the, 5 favorite triggers, 5 favorite buttons, each one can make a list. Keep it somewhere under lock and key. You don't have to show it to anyone. Certainly don't show it to the teenage children at home. So like this, we make a list of that, and you know your own background. You know what sets you off. You don't have to discuss it with anybody. You already know what sets you off. You know that certain things just make you see red, and certain other things, send you to the doldrums, and certain other things make you angry, certain other things make you upset, disturbed. Of course, you have the right to leave, no problem. But that is not what a kshetrajna does. You have the right to leave. If a situation is becoming unpleasant and triggering you, you can say, I have the freedom to leave this situation. Even if that situation is like something like a marriage or whatever it is. I have the freedom to leave this situation. Why should I be in this? The answer is for your own self-growth. That's the only reason to stay, no other reason. If you're serious about moksha, this is an opportunity. Any kind of a skirmish or a rub or in a way when you are triggered, it's an opportunity to rise above that and to grow into a person that is more accommodative. This is not turning the other cheek. Yeah, we don't talk about that at all. It's not about, passively accepting abuse. That's also not what we are talking about. We are talking about the human ability for accommodation, which is often not plumbed due to us always assuming that our threshold for taking any kind of quote-unquote disregard, disrespect, injustice should be very low. This is the only way I can respect myself. Or my sensitivity is very high, so I cannot be in this situation. I have to get out and now. That is a valid way of dealing with it. In fact, everybody deals with it this way. But when you come to Vedanta and when we are talking about entering into the lifestyle of the kshetrajna and being a kshetrajna, what is kshetrajna? Bhagavan. So what is Bhagavan's response? We have to see, not what is my response. So how will Bhagavan respond to this situation? And of course, you may say, I don't know how Bhagavan will respond to the situation. But then you can think, how will a Mahatma, a saint, respond to the situation? Because the one who has absolute kṣhānti is nothing other than a Mahatma, a saint. We call such a person a saint. Because their response is very different from the garden variety, local responses of the large, people at large. Their response is very objective. How is it objective? They are able to separate the person from the behavior. This is a very important thing. In myself also I have to separate my behavior, which may not be in keeping with my values, and myself. And I have to have compassion for that outburst or that behavior which I did not have any control over because it was a button that was pushed. When I have the ability to love myself and have compassion for myself, I can extend that accommodation to others. So it includes, what it takes is the ability to make peace with your triggers. Not always deny them and say, this is idiotic. Yes, I am given to anger. Yes, I am working on it. Yes, things are not going as fast as I would like. Yes, I am impatient. And I am working on that too. I am a permanent work in progress. You can introduce yourself like that. I'm trying as hard as I can. And sometimes my efforts are not enough. Even my best is not good enough. I know that, but I am trying. So when you are able to look at yourself this way, you are accommodating those tendencies and triggers before which were kept under the rug or denied, or before they were just seen as random acts and not looked at all. Now you are not only able to look at them, you are able to accommodate them. And this is why we recommend that everybody gets married. Because there is nothing like marriage to bring out the triggers. Yeah. All the buttons you never knew you had, are pushed after the marriage. Definitely. Because you think you know the person. You don't even know yourself, let alone another person. And then, if marriage doesn't do it, in the presence of children, definitely will do it. Yeah. So therefore, don't rush to sannyasa. There's plenty of time. Because there's a lot to learn here and cultivate here. There's a lot to learn. Because the other person is, and then of course our argument is the other person is not accommodative. Let him or her, and usually it's talking about the spouse, let him accommodate first, then I will accommodate. And the other one is also thinking that let her accommodate first, then I will accommodate. This is what happens. So somewhere one has to make a beginning, because otherwise there is an impasse. And so the first one to make a beginning will be the first one to discover kṣhānti. See, now there is a nice incentive. Yeah, so this is what it is. So really speaking, even when you lose an argument, you are a winner. Especially when you lose an argument. And you're just ticked off, the spouse or somebody, children or friend, whoever it is arguing. And it's not going to go anywhere because you've lived many years with them. You've known them for many years. It's not going to go anywhere. And just say, all right, that's fine. It's okay. I understand that this is how you think. That's okay. Really, it's okay? Yeah, it's okay. So in a way they are disarmed, nowhere to go. They will check up, they will say, are you sure you're feeling all right? What happened to you? So this way I disengage from this. And then even though I may feel bad, okay, I have lost this argument, I never get to suggest where to go, they always make the decisions, I never get to, decide which restaurant to go, somebody else is making the decision. I never get to be an agent in my own life, I'm this victim. No, just because you're not an agent doesn't make you a victim. Yeah. You can be an inner agent of your own self-growth. Why don't you do that? That is far more productive than trying to win a small little measly argument which restaurant you're going to. What is a restaurant? Let us look at it objectively. I know this is off the topic, but still. All these cuisines. It is for what? It is for the palate, correct? A palate is a polite way of saying tongue. And so the tongue is only the longest tongue, and I don't mean it figuratively. The tongue, according to the Guinness Book of World Record, the longest tongue was 4.5 inches. Measured at 4.5 inches. Figuratively long tongue means you're always arguing. That's not what I mean. Yeah. So, and then when you eat the food, it's only for that distance from, inch number 1 to inch number 4. Usually 3 inches, everybody's tongue is 2-3 inches. And after that you swallow, correct? And all the world's cuisines, Vietnamese and all kinds of things. What is that? Thai and Chinese and so many things. After the 2 inches, the food has passed. It may be all these gastronomic delights. But after they have passed the 2 inches, you may as well be on a feeding tube. The esophagus cannot taste, neither can the stomach. It's over. Yeah. So for the sake of 2 inches, think of the whole of Atlanta and think of how many restaurants are just here. Think of just one neighborhood and how many restaurants are just in one neighborhood. So many varieties and cuisines and everything. So you are going to have a 2-inch, 3-inch argument about where to go, what to do. This is, we know that the Jagat is finite, but this is really finite. How much are you going to eat? Somewhere there is some kind of, always there is a limit. The satiation is reached immediately. And so, these things we can let go. These things we can let go. Do whatever you feel like. And then even the most argumentative person that you're living with will say, no, today you decide. Because last 5 times I decided I'm only feeling guilty. You wait for that to happen. It's nice. It's a nice surprise when that happens. And by the time you will also realize that you don't care. This is wonderful. It's not that you don't care, you have outgrown this. First you are groaning, now you have outgrown. You have outgrown the need to call the shots. You have outgrown the groaning as well. Yeah, this is what it is. And this is how, in the marriages in India, in ancient India, and even in our grandparents' time survived. This is how it is. They hardly spend time together. They were, she was with all the other women. Grandma, great grandma. And he was with his friends. And there were all these cultural stipulations. They couldn't take each other's names because of certain ways. So when they saw each other, they would grant, that's all. Yeah, okay, you're still alive, so am I. That's all it was. And at no time, I have, had the privilege of having great-grandmother, grandmother, everybody. At no time I saw anyone saying, I never saw the great-grandmother saying to the great-grandfather, I think this relationship is going to the dogs. I think we need to spend more quality time together. Never heard that, Neither did the grandpa or the great-grandpa say, it's all your fault and we should be doing this. And no. In fact, they hardly spent time. And when they spent time, they enjoyed it. This, and many, it's not that all marriages were wonderful. I also know certain elderly, couples who could not stand each other, but they still lived together. Somehow it worked. They lived together because they learned kṣhānti. Yes. That's the only reason. They learned to accommodate each other's oddities. Even though they did not agree, they did not like, but still they lived together. I know of one couple who did not speak to each other for a number of years, like 15 or 20 years, by which time they even forgot why they had stopped speaking, because by that time they had aged and, they had forgotten why they stopped talking. But she would cook, she would serve and, leave it there. And then when she was sick, he would cook, serve and leave it there. This is how it is. They took care of each other. It's just wonderful. So, in our tradition, the marriage is not for the sake of the marriage. The marriage is not an end. If any time the marriage becomes the end, it will end. Yeah, that's why it's called end. Marriage is not the end. Kṣhānti is the end. This self-growth is the end in our tradition. And when that is achieved, you don't care to leave, because what's the point? What's the use? Because if I have lived with this person, I can live with anyone. So might as well, live with this one. No problem. So, the marriage is meant to be outgrown gracefully. That is what it is. That is what is vanaprastha. Then they start to live like friends, even though they were, pulling each other's hairs out before. And now they are living as friends and pursuing this knowledge. That is what is called the third or the forest dweller stage in our culture. So, this is kṣhānti, the ability to accommodate that which cannot be changed in myself, in others. So that kṣhānti requires a certain little brush up in human psychology, I said. Looking at the psychological order of Bhagavan and seeing that this is the person's trigger, this is the person's background. You may not even know the details of the background. Just like I have a background, they also have a background. So even though I talked kindly, it backfired. It boomeranged back at me. See, usually we are not able to develop kṣhānti because we take seriously the other person's criticism. This is the problem. Because there is some feeling, a hook inside me that hooks into whatever they say. So this is the problem. So somebody says you're an idiot. And they are angry they said that. They couldn't help it. Inside me also there is a part that is convinced I must be the idiot. And so that's why one feels so bad. So here also some inner work is necessary to be able to calm down those areas and to really work on self-love. Because self-love brings out kṣhānti. You have to do whatever it takes to have self-love. Yoga, whatever it is, some nice hobbies to cultivate, taking a walk in nature, anything that brings out an appreciation for yourself, something creative. Or even contributing gives self-love. When you contribute, you have self-love. because you are in a position of giving, you see. Nobody likes to always be in a position of taking. So when you give, when you reach out and help somebody, then you have more self-love. You discover it. It's not that you have it, you discover it. So kṣhānti. So the kṣhānti, the one who has kṣhānti is called a saint. And a saint is different from a common person because of the way they respond to the situation. They don't react. If somebody, I told you the story of somebody rushing at Adi Shankara with a big knife and saying, I want to have you for dinner. And he just said, come back when other people are not around so that you will not be stopped. So come back later. And he also gave him the time zone to come in when his students will not be sitting there guarding. And he also gave a tip to please watch out for Padmapada. This one is not, this one is there. Narasimha Avatara. So don't come when he is there. So this is kṣhānti. We see this. You see this? This is not a, we say the saints are exalted only because we feel like we don't have the capacity to react like that or to respond like that rather. But that's not an excuse. For us, a saint is not a certificate that is given after death by an officiating authority, because there is some miracle. No. For us, the saint is the ultimate goal. To be a saint is the ultimate goal of every human being, no matter who it is. As long as you are a human being, you grow into your halo. Yes, that is what you have to do. That is the ultimate goal of every human being, is to be saintly. Everyone is a potential saint. This is what has to be brought out. And you can't say, that is a Mahatma, this is a Baba, this is a Sadhu. I'm a commoner, so I can do whatever I want. No, that is not a privilege anymore. Not after coming this far. And not after having so much desire to study and the desire to listen, desire to learn. It is no longer an option. This is not an option now. So kṣhānti, this is also discovering compassion, and objectivity, both. The combination of compassion and objectivity is just like, when the doctor sees the patient, and let's say the patient is having a big tantrum or, under the influence of some medicine which did not suit him or her, and the patient just screams at the doctor, abuses the doctor. The doctor still will treat the person, will not take it personally. Same thing with a psychiatrist. They will just do their job and not take this personally. And so too here, this saint-like behavior is called kṣhānti. And Adi Shankara says that out of the 20 attitudes and values that we are studying, this is the one to develop. Then why didn't you say so before? I wouldn't have come yesterday. I would have only come today. Because, when you develop this one, it's not that this is the only one. When you develop this one, the other ones come for free. They walk into the heart. So kṣhānti is there. Can there be manita? No. Amānitvam comes. Adambhitvam comes. Everything comes. ārjavam comes. Riju bhava, next one. ārjavam. The bhava means the attitude of being straightforward. Riju. Riju means straight, as in not crooked. So what do you mean by crooked and straight here? Straight meaning that there is an alignment between the thoughts, the speech, and the actions. That is what is called straightforward. What I think, I'm able to express. What I express, I'm able to do. In fact, this alignment is taken very seriously in our Shastra. Especially whatever comes out of the mouth has to be followed. You cannot go back on your words. That option is not there. In fact, coming from this ārjavam is a small value called Vaktapas. Vaktapas is a form of ārjavam. In fact, the whole kingdoms have risen and fallen over a promise. Because of one promise, we have Mahabharata. Because of a series of promises, I should say. And one particular promise in that is very intriguing. Arjuna comes and says, Mother, see what I have brought. He attended a Swayamvara, where he, did this feat of archery and won over the hand of Princess Draupadi. In fact, she had set it up so that he only would be able to do this archery feat because she was admiring him from a long time and wanted to marry him. And there is a custom that you have to wait at the threshold to be welcomed. The new bride is welcomed with a little lamp and all these things. There are certain rituals. So he said, Mother, come out quickly, see what I have brought. And she was in the puja room, she was meditating, and she said, Not now, my son. And I have told you what is the protocol for anything you bring. I don't want any fights. So please share it equally with all your brothers. The word was said. Then when she came out, she said, okay, this is more complicated than we thought. This is not a laddu, And they actually called an assembly. They called an assembly and they had a meeting with Draupadi and they had decided what to do. As a society, they called a sabha, all the elders sat and they said there is no way we can falsify the mother's words. Her words have come out, there is a reason for it. We have to go by her words. And Draupadi herself was asked, will you please honor the mother's words? And when she agreed, then a whole, treaty was drawn up. 2 years with each person. And then no SMS from the other one, in between. No texts, no photos, no Skype, nothing. All these, there were boundaries of how to do this, how to share, 5 husbands. How to do that. So all this, because of this we have the whole Mahabharata. Then another promise we have Ramayana. Kaikeyi was very skilled charioteer. Yeah, she would drive the chariot. And Dasharatha was sitting behind. She, forged into the enemy ranks and just made short shrift of them. And in the middle of the battle, the axle of the chariot broke. If the chariot goes down, that means you're as good as lost the war. The chariot should always be upright. So what she did was she put her thumb in the hub of the wheel and held on to the axle with one hand. And with the other hand, she was, driving the chariot, tending to the horses. That's how the victory was gained. And Dasharatha was so moved. He said, whatever you want, you please ask. I want to give you 2 boons. One for winning the war and one for all the tribulations you had to undergo. And she said, I'll take a rain check. Yeah. And later on she said, I want Rama to go. And I want my son. Rama had to be sent out of the forest because he was too popular. And the people of Ayodhya would never have agreed to having him, anyone other than him as the king. He had to be banished so that the people, the collective memory she was thinking is short and nobody will mind. They will forget. They will accept Bharata. So she put 2 conditions. My son should be, and then Rama should go. Because of that promise, we have the whole Ramayana. And even here, Dasharatha shows ārjavam. he shows this straightforwardness because he falls at her feet. He begs her to change the mind. He says, let Bharata be the king, but retract your curse of his forest dwelling for Rama. Don't send him to the forest. I will not survive this. But all he could have said was, what boons? There was nobody there. And he is the king. He is the ultimate authority. Judicial authority, legislative authority, executive authority. This is a monarchy. All he would have to said, what are you, sitting in the anger management room? So, Bhavanam. I recommend that every house should have this, Yeah. What are you doing sitting in the anger room? Come out of there. Mad woman, 1 minute ago you were selecting saris, what to wear, you were so excited. Next minute you are, in the doldrums. Snap out of this. What boons? I don't remember any boons, he could have said. Incapable because ārjavam, satyam vada, dharmanchara, swadhyaya anma pramadah, ācāryāya priyandhanam ākritya prajatantum āvyavacchedsihi. Satyat pramaditavyam, dharman pramaditavyam, bhutyai pramaditavyam, devapitrakāryābhyān pramaditavyam, matradevo bhava, pitrudevo bhava, acārya devo bhava, atiti devo bhava, yani anavadyani karmani, tani sevitavyani, no itarani. No itarani. Yeah. No means no. Don't. Yeah. No. Do only things that you're supposed to do. Practice speaking the truth. Follow dharma always. Study the Veda. It has something to tell you. Be the one to whom mother is Bhagavan. Father is an aspect of Bhagavan. Father is a manifestation of Bhagavan. Everyone is Bhagavan. Be that person. This is what the whole thing is. This is what is ārjavam. Definitely a wonderful quality and attitude to develop, especially in these days where we make so many excuses. Yes, I'm going to come and help you. Well, you know what happened? Actually, nothing would have happened. So, to justify that, we have to make stories. Somebody came and I got really busy, and by the time they left, it was so late, and I'm so sorry, I didn't call you and I didn't tell I was not coming. And then, of course, that person being close to you will ask, who came? So now I have to say something. And whatever comes out of the mouth. And it's somebody that person also knows. And the next time they say, oh, did you go to this person's house? No, of course, I did go to this person's house. So already again one is embarrassed. So the lack of ārjavam, how is ārjavam connected to kshetrajna? Because not having ārjavam creates an inner split. And what is this split? The split between the knower and the doer. I'm doing something else, but I know something else inside to be different. This is the split. And where this split is, that knowledge of oneness will never speak to. This is what the whole thing is. Very beautiful. Ahiṃsā, kṣhānti, ārjavam. Then what? Ācārya upasanam. This is very wonderful. Ācārya upasanam means, Ācārya means teacher. Teacher here of what? Of Vedanta, Veda, but mostly Vedanta here to bring it into the context. Ācārya upasanam. Approaching or sitting in front of a teacher. This becomes a value for the one who wants to internalize the knowledge that I am the kshetrajna, not the kshetra. These are all ways to delineate the kshetra and not get into its entanglement. So Ācārya upasanam is approaching the teacher. And this is an ancient tradition. Because everybody was sent to Gurukula. And later on also in Vanaprastha, when they repaired to the forests, they would also seek a teacher and study there. So the seeking a teacher is important. Because the word acharya itself shows what it is. Acharati, the one who walks the talk. The teacher cannot be sitting and saying, don't get angry. The teacher is, himself or herself angry. That is not the idea. So, the teacher is one who acharati, who walks the talk. And then we have another derivation of the word acharya, acharayati, also inspires other people to behave according to dharma, according to shastra. Not by holding a stick, danda over them. No. Not by chastising or punishing them. But how? Through example and teaching and through inspiration. Acharayati, causes others also to be inspired. And then achinoti, ching chayane, to collect. So the teacher is one who has collected the gems of all the Upanishads. And everything is in the head of the teacher. And from the head of the teacher to the ear of the disciple, it is transmitted in the parampara. So really speaking, the teacher is an invariable item in your quest for self-knowledge. It's a package deal. Why is it a package deal? Because you sign up for the Shastra, the teacher, the tour guide of the Shastra comes for free. Yeah, it's included. But why can't I just go about it by myself? This is always a question. The same people who never hesitate to have a dance guru, Bollywood dance guru, and what else, cooking guru, stock market guru, and when all else fails, life guru. There is one life guru. Yeah, life coach. I met such a person. I said, what do you do? He gave me his card. On that life coach. I had heard of basketball coach. I said, what is this life coach? No, I just help out people. They pay me a retainer. Retainer means a salary every month. For what? Because people are confused. What are they confused about? Many things in life. They don't know how to make choice, and I know their issues, so I guide them through all the difficulties. They can call any number of times a day because they have paid me a retainer. And he had 5-6 celebrity clients, people in Beverly Hills and places like that. And I said, because I was curious, I said, why do they call you? What will they ask? I said, you don't have to tell me the names. I said, just tell me what kind of things they ask. He says, well, one of them called just 15 minutes ago and said that she could not decide what to wear. Because her closet was just, it's like that, what is that? That moving hangers. Like you see in the dry cleaner's office. Like that, her closet is. She has so many things, she doesn't know what to wear. And so he says, okay, let us look which color you are reverberating towards, which color today, what day is it, and how can you bring out the inner you, what does the inner you feel like? Is it feisty? Is it unhappy? Is it blue? Is it whatever, and then let's bring out the correct inner you by the correct outer, garments. And like this, I took her through it. I said, how long did it take? 45 minutes. I said, 45 minutes to decide what to wear? I said, she'll be late wherever she be. Yeah, she's always late. No problem. Because function will not start without her. She's a celebrity. And, then I said, what other things you do? Marital counseling, between, in one case, the husband was also his client and the wife was also the client. So he was on the phone all the time because the husband would call and keep the phone down and immediately the wife would call. Sometimes it would beep in between. And he couldn't tell, oh, your wife is calling. So, like this, he had to manage all these things. Then 6 months later, I met somebody who knew him. I said, how is this person doing? Still doing life coaching? No, he had his own marital problems. So he had to give up. So like this, one is not afraid of gurus. Only afraid of having Vedanta guru. Self-knowledge guru, everybody runs away. Yeah. Any other guru, no, people have no problem. They will pay, they will go, they will take booster, courses, all these things. When it comes to self-knowledge, something so important and intimate as the knowledge of yourself, they say, can I do it all by myself? DIY Vedanta. Not there. Not possible. If you find the book called DIY Vedanta, do not buy it. Yeah. Do not buy it, do not buy into it either. It doesn't exist. And you will also not find the book Vedanta for Dummies. Because Vedanta is not for dummies. Yeah. It's for thinking people who are able to understand and enjoy this. Enjoy this quest. And so here, this Acharya Upasana has to be discussed, at great length. Because this is where we, make the mistake. And not seeing the centrality of the teacher in this quest. And it's interesting because it's not just that the teacher is central to the quest. The teacher is central because the tradition is central. Yeah. It's not the teacher who is the person. And it's the teacher who is the carrier of the tradition called parampara. Para plus apara. Para, that which came before, apara, that which came after. Para guru, apara shishya. Then shishya becomes para guru. And another shishya becomes apara. So para plus para is equal to parampara. That's how it is formed. Parampara. The teacher becomes the carrier of the tradition and therefore the teacher is respected. And I have to, if I need this knowledge, I have to be in a place of discovering this respect for the teaching and the teacher combined. And that respect we call Shraddha. My attitude towards the Acharya is one of Shraddha. And it's not enough if you just love the person but don't feel like you need to learn anything from them. It's not enough to just love the person because the teacher is loving and I love the teacher, but that's not enough. Because loving the teacher is not going to give you the knowledge. And sometimes people say that I have respect for such and such a person's scholarship, but I don't care for the person. That also is not enough. That also will not work. Because it's not some kind of an intellectual thing here. What is happening is that there is no will actually involved in gaining this knowledge. What do you mean there is no will? I drove here, didn't I? Yes, you drove. But after that the will stopped operating, really. Yes, you exercised a little bit of a will to come here and sit down. You made a choice not to stay at home, you came here. Theek hai. But that is where the will stops. Because this teaching is in itself a means of knowledge. Like even your eyes and ears. When you see something with your own eyes and somebody says, you did not see me, but no, I did see you. You didn't see me, but I saw you. No, you must not have seen me. And what will you say? I saw you with my own eyes. That means when you say that, you are having Shraddha, you stand behind your eyes. Correct? I heard it with my own ears. So these are all means of knowledge that you trust because you operate them. Here, the Shastra is a means of knowledge that is operated by the teacher. That is why there is so much fear. I don't have any way of operating this means of knowledge. Because it is through the words deployed in a certain way according to the pedagogical canons of the parampara. How I learned from my teacher is what I am able to share with you. That's what it is. And how the teacher learned from his teacher, her teacher, his teacher, her teacher, all the way to Narayana, all the way to Sadashiva, this is what we say. Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya madhyamam asmadacharya paryantam vande guru paramparam. I salute the whole lineage. We started with Bhagavan Shiva, Lord Shiva, who gave the first teaching. Remember? What is this? Yeah, Tattvamasi, which is Tattvamasi, who gave the first teaching through this mudra. And then where Adi Shankara is an important link in the middle. And Asmad Acharya unto my teacher, which ends in my teacher. I salute the whole lineage. Because the lineage is not based on fluff. It's not based on experiences, feeling good. That's not what the lineage is about. The lineage is about discovering that you are already good. You don't have to feel. Regardless of how you feel, you are already good. The lineage is not about becoming limitless. The lineage is about discovering your limitlessness so that you can live with plenty of physical and emotional limitations and be unscathed. That is what the lineage is about. So the lineage is what is respected, and the Acharya stands at this end of the lineage. So I respect the lineage because it's not based, it's very practical. In the Viveka Chudamani, we hear a very beautiful thing. The student comes and dramatically talks about how he is feeling. Durvara samsara davagni taptam. I'm being, davagni means hot air, hot fiery air. Durvara, bad air, and bad airs of samsara, hot fiery winds of samsara are engulfing me and heating me from inside. Dodhuyamanam duradrishtabataihi. Dodhuyamanam means repeatedly shaken by the arrows of outrageous karma phala, outrageous fortune. Bhitam prapannam. I have become very afraid. Paripahi mrityoho. I feel I am about to pop off at any moment. Hey, Guru, please save me. Tvadanya sharanam. Aham na jane. I don't know any other refuge than you. This is the student's spiel. And the teacher, what the teacher says, says that, first says don't be afraid. Ma bhaishta vidvan, calls him vidvan even though he is ignorant. Interesting. Vidvan to be. The teacher is very sure that studying under me he will become vidvan. So, ma bhaishta vidvan, asti upayah. There is a remedy for what these hot airs and these fears that you are having. Asti upayah, there is a remedy. And I'm going to give you a foolproof remedy, not a remedy that you have to come back again. I'm going to give you a foolproof remedy. And what is that foolproof remedy? Yenaiva yataha yatataha asya param tadeva margam aham tvam nirdishami. By which well-travelled road, all other yatis means people who put the rightful effort, how they reached and crossed over samsara, that same road I am going to show you and help you walk on it. See, there is so much confidence in the parampara. It's not some newly crafted road that you just don't know what's on the other side and you have to worry about all this, nobody has walked on it, how is it going to be? This is not some new age thing. This is a, thousands and thousands of years old tradition through which other people have gained this knowledge. So time-tested way is really the best way, correct? And so therefore, the teacher becomes, an important link because of this parampara. Much more to be talked about. We'll pick up this value, Acharya Upasana, to be continued when? Tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Questions. What is the meaning of the adage that when the student is ready, the teacher appears? I always say when the student is ready, the teacher disappears. People get scared when I say that. But the teacher disappears means what? As you, really, in you. So, the student is ready, the teacher appears, it is said, meaning there is a certain way in which, this is what I was talking about, a universal harmony. There is a certain pattern in the universe. And since the purpose is to discover kshetrajnatvam in oneself, since that is one's only purpose, and when one is ready to embark on that purpose, one will find that accidentally even one walks into a class. Maybe one was not even deciding to come. In fact, one was saying, no, I don't think I should go, but let's see what it's like. Or maybe one was thinking this was some other, event. One time that happened to me. Somebody came and sat and they looked absolutely lost, almost till the end. And then afterwards, the two people were there. Then they said, we thought this was a lecture on modern art. I said, no, it's a lecture on ancient art, not modern art. So, like this, but then they were very happy to have attended this. So, like this, there is some kind of what we call Bhagavan, what the English language calls a series of coincidences or serendipity. In other words, it's neither coincidence nor serendipity, it's your own karma phala. That desire brings in the punya from the past, the punya reaps into finding some teaching that you can connect to. And people also say this to me, there may be a room full of people, and some more people online also. And then I get the feedback after the lecture. This is a typical feedback. How did you know that this is exactly what I was thinking of today? How did you know that I needed to hear this? I don't know. I don't even know. Who is there sometimes online, Sometimes people give their names. Sometimes people sign on as Tattvamasi. Okay, no problem. There is one person who is signed on as Tattvamasi. No problem, it's okay. I don't know who the person is, but it's wonderful. It's very nice. Yeah. And so I like that. It's very nice. And so therefore, I don't know. But that's because the teaching is not centered on me. That's why it's not a cult. Yeah. That's why it's not a cult, but it is a legacy. It's a legacy that speaks when there is Shraddha. In a heart that is Shraddha, even when the heart is opened with Shraddha, which I'll talk about a little more tomorrow, then the classes speak. That's what it is. Because you're allowing it to speak, and of course whatever you need to hear, you will hear, and whatever needs to be transformed also gets transformed. Because I don't know where you're coming from, what is there. Because it's really not about me. It's about what is, the whole tradition is being carried. That is how it is. The whole tradition is being carried by you being present here and me being here. That's all it is. So you and me together, we make the tradition. Isn't that a big thing? It's a huge thing. Any other question before we start on this? Anybody has questions?
Yeah.
He always says,
Yeah. So there is a strange sense of disconnect. And so I feel like I'm not participating in my life. Actually, you are. It's not that you're not participating in the life. You're participating in the life differently than what one is used to. Because before one comes to Vedanta, there's a lot of drama. One is a drama king and a drama queen. Yeah, there's a lot of drama, and sometimes in that dramatic way, people are used to relating in that dramatic way. And because of that, what happens is that, people start thinking that this is what life is. When the drama quotient reduces, you start feeling a little more dispassionate. It's okay. You are participating. You are fine.
follow up to my question. Is observer something that will tell us, or is it a karta?
No. Observer is Bhagavan. Observer is you, the witness. Yeah. Yes.
In the context of Dvaita and Advaita,
Yeah.
Which path is Bhagavad Gita leading us to?
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita is saying Advaita because it is very clear at the end. In the end of each chapter we chant this. What do we say? Krishna Arjuna Samvade and Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. It has two topics. I'll talk about it tomorrow. Brahma Vidya, which is understanding yourself as Brahman. It doesn't say you are two. Otherwise, Bhagavan would not be saying in the 9th chapter, Maya Tatam Idam Sarvam. And so therefore, it is, and it would not be saying Tattvam Asi. It would not be following that. That whole layout, it would not be following. And for these reasons, it is definitely giving the message of the Upanishads from the standpoint of Advaita. That being said, there are a number of commentators from the Dvaita traditions that have commented on it. And the Shastra gives us the hermeneutical freedom to look at it in three ways. From the standpoint that I am separate from Bhagavan and I am just a sad devotee and I will never be equal to Bhagavan. And then from the standpoint I am a part of Bhagavan, or to say I am none other than Bhagavan. We look at it from the standpoint of, from Advaita where we sit, we look at it as, you are never separate. And we can accommodate those two standpoints very easily. There is no fight there. There is no conflict there. There is no conflict precisely because of the fact that these two are points of view. Really. They are points of view. That notion of separation is a point of view. And the notion that I have to become one is a point of view from the ignorant individual who feels anxious, separated and alienated and disconnected from the total. So it is valid. And if you ask the Dvaitin, what do you want? They will say, I want to become one with Bhagavan. We say you are never separate to begin with. It's just coming at it differently. There is no problem. There is no conflict. Yeah.
In our discussion today, you said that we know what is right and we know what is wrong, which generates a sense of uneasiness when we perform wrong action. Where does that spring from?
That is Bhagavan. That is manifestation of Bhagavan as the order of Dharma. That is what it is. It is inbuilt. It's a sensor that is inbuilt into every jiva. More so human beings. Even the dog looks a little guilty sometimes, but it doesn't understand why. Bhagavan in the form of a sensor is called Dharma. Yes. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhasrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritangamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamedavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om